I was in 2 abusive relationships, and they were very close together time-wise. The first one, I met him in my second hour, my sophomore year of my second semester, and we dated for a little bit over a month. And my relationships never got physically abusive, but more than anything, they were controlling. The first boyfriend didn't want me to ever straighten my hair. I couldn't wear certain things because he thought it might be too revealing for other guys, and he didn't want other guys to look at me. He would tell me to shut up, that he didn't care about what I was talking about, that I was retarded, that I was stupid. He called me a whore, and really degrading more than anything. And I wasn't allowed to hang out with my friends. He would call me every day at 4 o'clock to see if I got home, to see if I was where I said I was at. So there was a lot of control there. And plus, he was older than I was at the time. He was 18 and I was 15. So he was always the one to pick me up. I never had the opportunity to just meet him somewhere because I couldn't drive. The second boyfriend, I met him at a coffee shop, and he was 21 and I was 15. And this was just a little bit over 3 weeks after I'd broken up with the first boyfriend. And it was kind of the same situation. He was very controlling. My sister came into town one weekend. He didn't want me to hang out with her. He wanted me to spend time with him. He got very upset when I didn't call him when I said I would. He wanted me to call him every morning before I went to school, and I had to go to school at 7:30. So he wanted me to call him at 7:30 every morning to see if I was there, and just got upset when I didn't. So, and the same thing, he was very degrading. The way I got out of the relationship was I just felt horrible. I was tired of feeling horrible in these relationships because I realized that they made me feel worse about myself. I didn't recognize it as abuse. I just didn't like the way they made me feel. And so the first boyfriend, I lied to him and told him that my mom didn't want me to date at all. Not just him, she just didn't want me to date anyone. And so I met him at a public place, though, so that other people were there in case he got angry with me. And my mom picked me up later that night at Starbucks. And the second boyfriend, I broke it off with him, and he didn't take no for an answer. I repeatedly told him over and over again, I don't want to be with you. And I was honest with him. I just told him, I don't want to be with you. And he wouldn't accept me saying that. So he would call me constantly at 3 in the morning, at 4 in the morning. And this went on for a couple months. And finally, I think he got the point. But then another month later, he met my friend, and he knew that I knew her. So he asked her to tell her to meet her someplace, but really he was going to be the one that met me there. So he was trying to find a way to get to me still. And so I threatened him and told him, I will get a probation put against you if you don't, restraining order against you if you don't stop calling me. So after I threatened him with that, he stopped trying to get in contact with me. These relationships were not more than a month. The first one was just a little over a month, and the second one was just a month. And it just escalated so quickly. And I got out before it could get any worse. So, and I had a friend talk to me about the first relationship. She saw how he treated me once when we all went out together. And she told me, Anya, that's unacceptable behavior. But I didn't really, because I didn't recognize it as abuse, I couldn't see it as unacceptable because I didn't know what abuse was. I didn't talk to anyone about it because I didn't know. I mean, if you don't recognize something as a problem, usually you don't talk to people about it. And so I didn't see it as a problem. I was hurting, but I just thought, maybe this is how it's supposed to be. So I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. And plus, I felt a little ashamed because I didn't want to tell a friend or my mom or my dad and say, this guy, he's treating me like this. Why am I allowing him to treat me like this? Because I didn't want my parents or my friends to think that I had made a bad choice and that I was incapable of making choices when it came to relationships. I think the first thing is, to girls, you have to recognize that it's abuse and stop. I know a lot of girls who are in denial about it, who make excuses for their boyfriend's behaviors or make exceptions. You can't compromise yourself for someone else. It has to be a mutual thing if you're going to make a relationship work. And if you're the one doing all the compromising so that they'll be happy and you're not getting anything in return, then there's a chance that it's not a healthy relationship. The signs of abuse are sometimes just very obvious, but we don't think of it as abuse because the first thing someone looks for is a scar or a bruise. And really, for teens more than anything, it's psychological. If you're feeling depressed when you're with that person all the time. You know, I didn't play golf. I played golf all the time before I started dating them, and I stopped playing as often because, you know, they wanted to spend time with me. I didn't do the things that I used to enjoy doing. You know, they don't allow you to hang out with your friends. It's very controlling. Some of my friends who have been in abusive relationships, their grades dropped dramatically. They changed their looks. They're just very depressed because they weren't happy. And I think those are some of the signs that parents, more than anything, need to look out for, because I don't think teens recognize it themselves when it's happening to them. Abusive relationships are really widespread, and I don't think people understand that, because after I appeared on Dr. Phil, I had 4 girls come up to me who were in my grade and tell me their stories. And that was just in one day. And people don't talk about it, so they don't realize it, but because I've talked about it before, I've met several girls who are in abusive relationships or have been in one. So it is very widespread. And I've even had guys come up to me and tell me that they were in an abusive relationship with a girl.